The fresh water is directly from immediate rainfall. We can come in immediately and the water can be filling up.
Hey Trippers, this is Trippin Traci. Today's trip brings us to Florida Caverns State Park. Trip with me. I decided to stay at Florida Caverns State Park for an extra night, not only because I love this park, but because the caverns are not open on Wednesdays or Thursdays. I'm headed up to the caverns now. I don't think I'm gonna make this group, but probably the next one. I'm thinking maybe 10 o'clock. No selfie sticks, no tripods. I'll make do. Yeah, there's a tour waiting right there. I don't think we're gonna make it. I was in time for the 9:30 tour, so I got a muffin. I'm going to have my muffin and finish my coffee. This is where we're meeting.
Hello, everybody. Any other caves anywhere?
Yes.
Where at?
Carlsbad.
Carlsbad, Ruby Falls, Luray, Ohio. Okay. I always wait for a guy to say, my man cave at home. I always encourage the students, especially if you're homeschooled. If I do my job right, you should learn some American history, some science, and also Honeybee likes old movies, Walt Disney, and I like to gossip. That's extracurricular. So milk this tour. After the tour, upstairs is a free museum. And that's why I also asked, had you been in any other caves? There's a photo of the gentleman that owned the land privately. His name is Dr. J.C. Patterson from Malone. He owned 494 acres. He was giving tours. In his tours, they discovered literally Native American artifacts, bones, and the endangered gray bat. Because of that, his tours were stopped. The goal was to find another cave on the property to continue touring, and he went to the Florida Caverns in Virginia, and he wanted to duplicate that here. He couldn't afford it, so then he sold the land to the state. In 1937, the state bought it, took over. They built this building first. That's made of limestone. The same crew who built that building excavated the cave we're going in, because the original cave is still blocked off to this day. So that's the background of the cave, why, the what, the where. And then I'll tell you more the who when we get in the cave, who actually did the work. That's why it looks like this. It's not just because of winter. Our trees are gone. When we get out of the cave, you're gonna still see trees knocked over from Hurricane Michael. Going toward the cave, we've lost 90% of our trees. Dinosaurs. They died and descended to the bottom of the ocean. They decomposed and they became limestone. Be careful and watch your step. This is the transitional room. We give you a few seconds to get acclimated to the different environment. Now, the door is closed. You're mine now. And your little dog, Toto too. You have to leave out. I can safely escort you and then continue the tour. This water in front of us is fresh water, coming directly from the aquifer. Underneath us is a cave in a cave filled with water. That is an aquifer. That water comes from directly the Chipola River behind us, backs into the aquifer, and then as it overflows there, it'll come in here. That is fresh water. You can get as close as you want if you want to touch it as well. That is something you can touch. Above us is the limestone, which covers mainly all of Florida. But this water dripping from this limestone, that is not fresh water. That's carbonated water. The fresh water is directly from immediate rainfall. We can come in immediately and the water can be filling up. It is our most popular room. It's called the wedding room. And also straight up where my light is shining, that is a nautilus. It looks kind of like a squid like in the ceiling. And that's what I meant. We're embedded all in this limestone. You will find a lot of seashells all in there. This is our most popular room called the wedding room. And it's called the wedding room because this white calcited tower is said to resemble a wedding cake. And you also can go up those stairs as well and look around and take pictures. But this wedding cake up here is also where, right here, we actually have a minister or officiant actually performs live weddings. A good way for students to remember: stalactite, tight to the ceiling. Stalagmite, you might trip on it. It's on the ground with the G.
Careful there.
In this room in 1938, it was discovered. This room, the work began. It was discovered in 37. The work began in 38 of excavating. When young people did the work, and the young people, this is the history. It was following 1929 stock market crash in our country. It led to a presidential election of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or FDR. March of 1933, he was elected. Starting March of 33, immediately he implemented a program called the New Deal. In that New Deal was the CCC, Civilian Conservation Corps, a young program, or young men in the program did most of our labor throughout the entire country. That's how a lot of our national parks got developed. Here, though, the work didn't begin until 38 because remember, it was a privately owned park. Then they sold it. They discovered this in 37. And when the kids came in here in 1938, they saw this little guy right here. And they said, ooh, that looks like a duck leaning on a log with a helmet on in the cave. And they loved Walt Disney. Now, not Land of the World, but movies. And in 1938, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs had just won an Oscar. So when they came in here, like I mentioned Kim Kardashian and the Bats, that's our generation, they were thinking of Walt Disney, and that's the proof. And so to this day, this room is named by the children, the Donald Duck Room. Yay! And all the kids love me, and I'm a hero. Yay! Pickaxes, wheelbarrows, 10 and 5-gallon buckets, chisels. Literally right now, behind us is one of the natural airways. The bats come in and out of the cave. And our little bats use echolocation to get around. And they also help pollinate fuel similar to bumblebees. But let me ask y'all a personal question, okay? What's your name?
Frost.
Oh, I like that. Frost. I never met a Frost. Okay. Frost. What is more exciting than talking about a bat?
Holding a bat?
Oh, I can't do that one.
Seeing a bat.
Yes. Okay, your wish is my command. There is a little bat. That little bat again eats about 500 mosquitoes an hour. And that is one of our biggest bats. That's an eastern pipistrelle. And there's a bat right over there. Lucy and Ricky. Okay. And this pole right here, you can actually touch it. Oh, well, if the water drops hit you, that's called a cave kiss. And that means our cave's romantic and is trying to turn you into a stalagmite so you might get married in the wedding room. Okay? Now you can touch this pole. All through the cave, you know, I've been saying don't touch. Now I'm at the pole where they can touch and they don't want to touch it. Sounds like my husband. Okay, yes. Yeah, you can touch that. And the reason, because when those kids would come this way and they would fall, they would grab it. They weren't tied to it like in the other room where they were, and it broke it apart. Because this is still intact because they weren't pulling it. And if you look at this post right next to it, here that looks kind of gritty, but at the bottom it is wet. Water's running equally down both of them, but you can literally see the difference. The stalactites are still building up because no one had put their oils on it. Here where they put the oils is smooth. And because of that, they designatedly literally left it for us to have a place to touch. Because when you say don't touch, that makes you want to touch. So all the school kids stop and they pose at the pole like, I was here. I've even seen grown men on YouTube claim to kiss it. Don't recommend that. Give it a name. We just call this the waiting room. And we call it the waiting room because we have to wait in here so long. While all the school kids, the teachers, and the mamas are in there dancing. I was about to say dancing. But hugging the pole. Here in this room, even though it doesn't have a name, this guy kind of in the center kind of looks like to me an Egyptian pharaoh with the falcon on the side. Like he's sitting on his throne. One little girl suggested then, if that is an Egyptian pharaoh, this should be the pyramids. I've also heard some people say it looks like Elsa's castle from Frozen or Mount Everest. I've had also families from India see the same thing. They say it looks like the Krishna versus an Egyptian pharaoh. So it's for your interpretation. Now, one day on a tour, one lady looked at this little guy right here. And unless you saw the commercial, you might not get it. But she said that little guy looks like Fritz, the Travelocity gnome, the catacombs. And it was given that name by World War I veterans. And they said, as you'll see, it resembles in the size of mountains where in Rome and or in the catacombs in France, they put their dead. Now, as we go down here, please use caution, hold on. And kids, I need to tell you about this catacomb. I don't joke in there. I'm going to say my last joke and I'm going down. Asa, the catacombs. Honeybee has not buried her boss here yet. What's said in the cave stays in the cave.
That cave tour was a lot of fun. She was fantastic. Now I'm gonna go take a look at the museum. This is where we are. It's a big park. They have bats. I actually like bats, especially fruit bats. I think they're cute. A lot of shells and bones they've collected. Here you can learn about stalactites and stalagmites. There is a button. Push to hear a message.
The largest room in the Florida Cavern is called the South America Room. It gets its name from the water-filled pool in the corner that is shaped almost like the continent of South America. The pool is a type of formation called a rimstone pool. As the water level fluctuates, calcite is left behind, building the rim higher and higher around the edges of the pool. You will see more rimstone formations throughout the cave, some of which may remind you of waterfalls or rice paddies with their terraced appearance. The temperature inside the cave is a nearly constant 65 degrees Fahrenheit, as seen on the thermometer that has been placed inside the cave.
Some information on the settlers from Georgia, Cracker homesteads. I almost forgot a sticker. I think I'm gonna go with this one. Hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. That helps me out on YouTube. And don't forget, subscribe if you haven't already. And with that, I will bid you adieu and to stay trippy.